guilty of crime.
And we're back. What's up, everybody? Happy hump day. Whatever you want to say to get through the week. Happy Wednesday. Good to see you. I'm your host, Jay, with Guilty of Crime. I should point that way. And it's the opposite. So I got to do opposite day. It's hard to get that. Anyway, I'm Jay with Guilty of Crime. If you're new here, come on in, hit that like button, and check all notifications so you get a notification when I'll be streaming. Although Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern. Come on, guys, let's get hyped up. This is a terrible case. There's going to be some really, really disturbing details on why Tanner Horner was sentenced to death for Athena Strand. And yes, he was, but there's a lot that went with that. So in my first episode, I covered everything that happened and more, everything and more that you could think of. In this episode, we are covering justice for Athena Strand. We're going to see him getting the death penalty, how he reacts to that. And then we're going to kind of go a little bit backwards after we go to where he's going. So pure evil, Wesley, you got that right. Pure evil. There's nothing else that I can say about this monster except pure evil. So please, trigger warning, because he didn't just do this to Athena Strand. There were other victims that were in the trial that had to testify. One being a family member, a male family member, that goes into great detail about Tanner Horner bending him over and trying to put it in him, etc., etc. I don't know if I'm going to play that part. It is blurred out, but I just need you to know what the death penalty is for. And this is a great example of what the death penalty is for. This is the most evil crime that I've seen in a very long time. Come on in, guys. Kim, welcome. Lady for Justice, how you doing? Shadow, just watch the whole trial. Yeah, we're just doing a 1,000-foot view. Death penalty and the details that got him there. And where's he going? What's going to happen next? That's what we're talking about today. I could not watch the whole trial. It was very long and very disturbing. So I figured those that want to just see what happened and get an overview, you'll come here. I got to take my pain meds for my back. Kathy, what's up? Go take them. Hashtag take your meds. Kim Wells, Sadie's mama. I'm showing where he's going to, my friend. All right. If you gotta know. You gotta know. Come on now. We got it all covered. Everything's covered here for you today. There's nothing lacking. And if it is, y'all just gotta ask me, Jay, what happened, or who did this or what? And we'll answer the question. All right. On that note, let me say hi to Jamie. How you doing, Allie? Let's throw out we're back on the normal classic Red Bulls. You got it? You got some coffee? That sounds good. I got classic Red Bull. Let's get us through the day. All right, guys, 11 Summer Moon. Hello, hello. If you're new here, guys, make sure your membership gifting is on, or get yourself a membership because you will want to. You won't want to miss out on the things that we do as the crime crew. Good to see a lot of the mods in chat today. Edith, how you doing? Midnight Lace, got my 20-ounce Red Bull, baby. Always prayers for you, Wesley, and a huge prayer for Patricia NY. Just say a prayer for her. All right. Make sure you opt in to win that 420 membership by Foxy. Kel says click that like button and consider getting a membership, guys. All right. Yeah, the Summer Red Bull just came out. I always have all those, man. All right, guys, listen up. We're going to get into disturbing details. Not only are they very, very disturbing, but it's telling you the justice that was received for Athena Strand and her family. There's nothing harsher than a death sentence, especially one in where you tried to fight for your life by pretending that you have an alter ego named Zero and your mental health issues. Not flying, buddy. Not flying. You've been graping boys, girls, and anyone in your sight for as long as you can remember. All right. I actually wish they had the electric chair, because he's going to get a real nice, clean line in his arm that just puts his ass to sleep. That's not what I want for him. I want him to suffer. And I bet you guys do too. All right. Good to see everyone. Come on in. Look at the pics. I know. Look at that. Both Athena's mother and father obviously were at the trial, testified, did this, statements that they needed to do at the end. He should have been stopped a long time ago. You nailed that. Hey, Mama Pearl's in the house. Miss Corinne. All right. There's awesome. Hi there. Awesome Jane family from Michigan. Love you. Thank you. I appreciate that, y'all. Hit that like button. When he pled guilty, he himself asked to be put to death. Plus, this is Texas. They don't play with the death penalty. Yeah, but you know what? The funny thing, Beth, is that he asked to be put to death, and I think he was doing it as a way to sound like, oh yeah, I'm going to own up to this. Guys, there was not one bit of remorse. We're going to listen and go over the letter in court that he thinks was a letter of sympathy for the family, but in fact, all it was him interjecting himself into the case, and poor me. Screw that monster. Just lock him up as much as, white trash is an understatement. He was out in the back living in that shed with just pure trash, just a nasty murdering pedophile. You're right. You're absolutely right, guys. And don't worry about the appeals. We're coming. We're not. There's going to be nothing there. There's going to be no appeals. All right. So that being said, justice for Athena Strand. Let's just get into it, guys. All right. And if you watch the trial, great. We're not sitting there watching the trial, so to speak. I'm giving you my opinion and an overview of what happened in the trial and the case. Now, there is his new, which is very creepy. He looks very scary, very evil. That's what he looked like from left to right, from younger to older. And then if you look at the top, that is his new. Grandma has it. Grandma has one. Go ask her. That is his new picture, his new death row picture. I'm at a loss for words right now. Anyhow, we're also going to, of course, talk about him being transferred, process, what happens next, and the appeals, right, which are never going to happen. The appeals are a formality. You're absolutely right. I couldn't have even said that better. All right. And this is where this monster's going. And I hope there's prison justice. He does look evil AF. So guys, don't think that we're not going to get to anything and everything. Absolutely. Of course, they're going to have automatic appeals with the death sentence. All right. That's just what happens. They're going to exhaust the appeals and then it will be done. Oh my goodness. Yes. 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 All right. Let's get back to this so you can see who was sentenced to death and why. What? Arting with Lynn said, "Who is this, Jay? This is the Athena Strand case, and this is Tanner Horner, the FedEx driver that just got the death penalty yesterday. And it took less than 3 hours to get there. Yes, these people didn't buy it for a second. All right. All right. So, guys, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe. We have a goal up. The goal lasts for an hour and a half. If he doesn't get the goal, we can still do memberships to support the channel or buy me a coffee for CrimeCon. All right, let's get to, I'm going to just quickly do a couple of things. First of all, he's going into Polunsky unit in Texas on death row, and I'll give you the insight on that in a bit. But first, where is my article? I want to quickly read you the article. There it is. All right, let's get into it, guys. Come on in. Again, major trigger warning. There's a lot of terrible things in this case today. So, today is May 6, 2026. Yesterday was Cinco de Mayo, May 5th, 2026. And Tanner Horner gets the death penalty in the murder of 7-year-old Athena Strand. All right. So he really, this is what he looked like the whole time. Anything he ever said or did in the on camera in the trial, nothing looked like he had sympathy, empathy, or remorse for a damn thing he did. All right. So this is him looking up as the defense team before pleading guilty to capital murder. This was supposed to go to trial, but on day one, he pled guilty. He thought he was going to get himself off. All right, so they're showing this here, April 7th, 2026. This was after, okay, so capital murder November, and then this was the, when he found out he was getting the death penalty, which you'll see it again. All right, so if you guys don't know anything about this, like Arting with Lynn said, who is that, Jay? It's Tanner Horner, a former FedEx driver who obviously brutally capital M'd and raped 7-year-old Athena Strand. He was sentenced to death yesterday. Jurors were very swift with a verdict after just 2 hours of deliberation. They were formally tasked with answering up to 2 questions. Does Horner pose a continuing threat to society? And if so, should he be given the death penalty or life in prison without the possibility of parole? All right. This just says life in prison, but I can't imagine this guy ever getting out. Obviously, jurors said yes to the first question and elected for the death penalty in the second question. Now, the trial was solely focused on whether Horner would get the death penalty after he pled guilty to Strand's murder on the first day of opening statements. So we don't even have opening statements. I have an overview for you. And I looked for the opening and the closing, and there are no opening statements because he pled guilty in the first day. We didn't get to see anything, but we did see the evidence laid out for the jurors to decide if he would get the death penalty. All right. Tanner Horner is proof why parents hug their children a little tighter. He's proof of why children are nervous to go play outside. Stanton said he's proof of why there's evil in society and why we can never turn our back. All right. Now, Susan Anderson, a defense attorney for Horner, argued to jurors that his autism reduces his moral responsibility for the crime. She also tried to use his diagnosis as paint. All right, diagnosis to a paint, a sympathetic picture of Horner. He had too much lead in the paint and yada yada. The defense was bogus. He tried to use his alter ego, and it simply didn't work. All right, they know that they just don't quite fit in. They start to see themselves as an outcast, is what the defense says, and tells the jurors. So they start hanging out with other people that they identify with. They're outcasts, and they become And that becomes that self-fulfilling prophecy, like David, right? Now, jurors were learning new details about Horner just the day before they had to deliberate on a verdict. Prosecutors called a surprise witness on Monday. Guys, that's why we didn't know about this. I didn't find out about this until today because I was not following the trial. Guys, there was a surprise witness, all right? The surprise witness was what I told you was very terrible to hear. Surprise witness was Horner's cousin, a male cousin who testified against him about him CSAMing him, we'll say, when he was only 10 years old. Now, the prosecution brought forward the cousin, who also is identified as Billy, as a rebuttal testimony after the defense rested. Now, Horner forced Billy, 10 years old at the time, to first give him oral sex, and then he tried to forcefully penetrate the boy by the lake near Horner's grandmother's house, the witness said. But the witness, the cousin Billy, said he didn't fight back because he was scared. And Tanner Horner's such a monster, he couldn't penetrate the boy, so he continued to assault him and make him finish off. And you know what that means. And years later, he did the same thing to him when he was 13 or 14. He said he was bigger than him and he had beaten him up before. So this guy, Billy, went along with it. Now, the defense asked him on cross-examination why he decided to come forward. And he said the fact that he killed the kid and the truth needs to be told. Please get justice for Athena and Billy. This guy's a man now. Billy's a man, and he recounts when he was 10 and then later again at 13 or 14, Tanner Horner graping him. All right. He also testified that Horner made comments in the past, wondering what it would be like to kill somebody. Again, a self-fulfilling prophecy, kind of like David, D4D. You fantasize about it so much, you want to do it so much. Yeah, and that's the thing too. We're going to listen to just a clear 12-minute breakdown of Athena. Then the medical examiner says she fought like a warrior until the end. But what got him the death penalty, in my opinion, was the jury seeing and hearing a little Athena say, Are you a kidnapper? My mom said that's not okay to do. Don't take my shirt off. We can't do that. It's not okay." And he goes to cover the camera but doesn't cover the audio. So the jury has to hear this little girl literally telling him no and getting raped and hit and fighting back. And I think that sealed the deal for the death penalty, in all honesty. Exactly like David. Exactly like David. Yep, the audio. It's disgusting. It's triggering, and I would never want to have to hear that. Yeah, she wants to know where her shirt is. He did lead law enforcement to her body, but I'm not giving him credit because he said zero did it. All right. So little Athena Strand, I'm going to say, did get justice today. Although, I mean, this is not justice. This is not justice. Little Athena, I said that yesterday, Ashley. Little Athena was waiting for her Christmas present, guys. Horner was the FedEx delivery driver, and this was back in November of 2022. Horner was delivering her Barbie dolls for Christmas as a FedEx driver, and he kidnapped her. All right. Now, there's still an image from the front of the trunk that shows Athena kneeling next to Horner in the truck while driving. There's also a camera that shows her outside of the FedEx truck, well and alive, which contradicts his story. Now, investigators say that Horner then killed her by beating her on the head and strangling her before dumping her body in a creek. Dallas County medical examiner said she had blunt force trauma or blunt force injuries on her head and was strangled. The prosecution also said that there was a shoe print on Athena's face that matched Horner's shoe. Horner was arrested only 2 days later, guys, and he did admit to killing Athena, but he offered contradictory information to the investigators about how and why. He also left out the fact about graping, all right, and being a pedo. So Texas Ranger Espinoza was eventually able to get accurate information out of him, addressing him as Zero, which is Horner's alter ego. Like David and a Tommy, this guy is Tanner and Zero. All right. Ultimately, it's about locating Athena and getting to the truth. Espinoza didn't care that he calls him Zero. Call him what you want. All right. Tanner said when Zero takes over, it feels like he's in the back seat being driven by someone else. And other times, it feels like he's in the trunk of a car. All right. During the interview, Horner often expresses frustration over the direction of his life. And when you see his life and where he lived and what he was doing, well, you'll understand. Jurors watched video of Horner leading investigators to a creek, which was the actual location of Athena's body and where it was found. All right. Now, FBI agent Dave Rogers described to the jurors what Strand's body looked like after she was pulled out of the water. He says, I remember her being really cold to the touch, firm, and with the lights and everything on her skin appeared to be glistening, kind of like an angel. And that's what the prosecutor's saying that he told him. Come on in, guys. I know the topic's hard, but do me a favor, hit that like button. Carrie, good to see you back in chat. Arting with Lynn, thank you so much for the $20 super chat. I wish I could meet you at CrimeCon planning 2027. Get it? Yes. Or you can come out to Cali. And Foxy Amazon, thank you for the Guilty of Crime membership. If you received the membership, please thank her. I thank you. What's up, Deb? Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. All right. I'm so glad she fought back. All right. Now, the prosecution strategy appeared to contrast the experience that Tanner had told them, and contrast the experience Horner would have in general population against that of death row. Okay, in general population, Fitzpatrick said Horner would be mixed in with other inmates convicted of lesser crimes, and people in visitation areas wouldn't be notified of his charges. But on death row, Horner would be restrained, searched, and escorted before leaving his cell for any reason. Right? Death row by nature is far more structured. They remained at the facility for the entirety of their incarceration up until when the sentence is carried out. Right? Final days of the trial came after more than a week of the defense making its case, in which the attorneys brought forward Horner's family, psychiatrists, and other experts to testify about his mental health issues. That's going to be our first clip right there. All right. And then at the end, they say, I do think that they've done a good job working with what they had. John Helms, criminal defense attorney, told Kara News. All right. So let's jump into this. Actually, I'm going to jump into a couple things. Let me just jump into this real quick because you got to see this guy. If you missed my first episode, this is a different video of him. Tanner Horner has a channel with only 71 subscribers, and he wants his 15 minutes of fame. In the closings, or I should say the family statements, they said, hey, you got your 15 minutes of fame. Now go to death row. All right. Look at this guy. This is Tanner Horner, the guy that's already Yep. If you're just looking at this, you absolutely would say this guy's a narcissist, okay? But we don't know that he's a pedo, and we don't know that he's a murderer at this time. And there's no allegedly, all right? This guy is into himself, right? Mental health, my ass. All right, now we're gonna get into that topic, but I want to also show you his Facebook pictures because I didn't show those last time. This guy's garbage. He's human garbage. He's a demon. He's evil. He's what Duty Ron said yesterday, right? A homicidal maniac. Look at this guy. He's smiling at the camera and he thinks he's so great. All right? He thinks he's so great. He's evil and white trash. All right, let me show you what he tried to use as sympathy and empathy in this case. When I get to the letter that he shared, you'll see why I showed you this. Now, Tanner Horner has a child. This is his child, okay? This is his child, and it's not his fault. There he is. It's not his child's fault. But he said to law enforcement, I need to get out. I need to get back to raising my son. And we look at these pictures, you see a freaking homicidal maniac. Best way I can describe it. Now, I do wish that they had, I do absolutely wish that they still had the electric chair or the firing squad. But I know, poor baby. I agree. He's a demon, guys. And that's why I'm showing you who he is. All right. This is the kind of stuff he tried to hide behind, but you can clearly see that he loves himself too much. He's white trash. He's always on drugs. As a matter of fact, he was doing cocaine that day, and he blames it on partially the cocaine. I mean, you could see it. This guy is, look at his eyes. Look at everything about him is just trash. All right. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. Sing along if you know the words. Cupcake, fatty, fuck stain. I mean, he did this in November of 2022, right before Christmas, guys. And I hope these people I hope they disassociate with this guy. I think one who testified on behalf of defense is the one in the striped shirt. Wow. So he was in somebody did a defense on behalf of this guy? What striped shirt? I don't even see stripes unless it's this or this guy. Anyway, that's disgusting. Nobody should have testified on his behalf at all. All right. Looks like he has a female. Wow. Look at that. Maybe baby's mama. Does she know? Poor girl. He likes him much younger. Right. I mean, this goes back years and years. So you see, he hasn't changed a lot except for now that he's going to death row. He looks even creepier than he did here. Here he looks like a straight up pedo. All right. Straight up demon pedo. But I say that to bring you to this. What happened in court? Clar. Yikes. Sorry I'm late. I'll go back after the show. We just started. Stay here, my friend. Love you. And I will talk to you hopefully after the show. All right. So that is that monster. And we're going to talk about now justice for Athena Strand and what the heck happened in that trial and what's next. All right. Key points. Here we go.
The punishment phase of the trial of Tanner Horner resumed in Tarrant County today to a degree. The jury was not there today. The former FedEx driver has pled guilty to the murder of 7-year-old Athena Strand, but the court is currently vetting the defense's expert witnesses they want to call to decide if they're qualified to testify later on this week. Amelia McGavro, I know you watched it all in court today for us. What is the takeaway from what you saw today?
Yeah, Doug, today was really the first look at the defense's case. We heard from 4 medical experts today. All of them have evaluated Tanner Horner in the past and all pointed to serious health issues they say he's had since childhood. The witnesses included a psychologist, 2 environmental toxin experts, and a pediatrician. Their diagnoses include autism, fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, and extreme childhood lead poisoning. One doctor even saying Horner had levels of lead that were 24 times higher than average. They also pointed to signs of major head trauma earlier in his life. The psychologist, in fact, also elaborated on Horner's alter ego known as Zero, as we've heard from the previous proceedings, and said it seemed more like an imaginary friend he used to express emotions he couldn't communicate. But prosecutors, they pushed back through all of this, challenging the devices and testing methods used.
So what are you saying there, Allie? Are you saying you don't want my gestures? You'd rather me film like this? Or should I film like this? How about I film like this and you never get to see my gestures? I'll do like gray pubes, right? I'm not coming on the screen until I get my super chats. I'm not even going to talk. I'm going to put myself in jail. Or the other channels that stream with a little icon, a tiny little icon where they can't see. Is that what you're saying, Allie? I'm just kidding. I love to give Allie a hard time. I mean, the whole part of the channel is to interact with me and understand what's happening.
By those doctors and questioning whether the results were reliable enough to be presented to a jury. Ultimately, though, all the witnesses will be able to take the stand if the defense calls on them.
Any other moments that stood out to you today besides that?
Yeah, if I were to pinpoint a moment, I would say it's the psychologist's testimony that really stood out to me. She said Horner claimed he kidnapped Athena because he was, quote, concerned Athena saw him using cocaine. That's an explanation we hadn't heard before in this trial, really. But the psychologist made one thing clear, Doug. In her opinion, Horner knows right from wrong and said this is not an insanity defense.
All right. He knows better. They knew better. Everything was... This is a wild case. I've never seen something like that where you go to the first day of trial, they plead guilty, and then they have a sentencing phase where it's the death penalty and you get all of the details. Like, I don't even want these details, but we got to. All right. Love you too, Sadie's mama. Thank you, No Shoot Vaccine. I appreciate you. You know, when I watch YouTube, I want to see who's talking. I want to interact. I love giving, Allie and I just love giving each other a hard time here, right? That's it. That's all. Just bottom line. I know, guys. I want you guys to interject. Those of you that watch the trial, please talk about it in chat because we're not going to, we're going to do a fake bail and you bail me out. You see those bars back there? Texas is weird. Hey, I'm fine with Texas. I'm fine with what they did. I've just never seen anything like this. All right. I wish that his cousin spoke. I wish that his cousin spoke out, but at least he did and it helped Athena. 110% Melissa. You got it. All right. Jay, your background creeps me out in a good way. Oh my goodness. Yeah, let's get a profile pic, Allie. Come on. He's absolutely a monster. Let's continue. Let's watch this monster. We have to watch the monster getting sentenced, and then I'm just going to blow you away with everything else. Now, if you just walked in, or like Claw, or you're just joining, guys, you didn't miss anything. It was just me saying hello and showing a little bit of Tanner. But from here forward, I just want you to understand what happened with 7-year-old Athena Strand. Okay. She was just hanging out, man. That's what we do. That's what we do. We're allowed to hang out in our front yard, especially in Texas, right? When you have more land. But Athena was just hanging outside, waiting for Christmas presents to come. It was November 30th of 2022. And she went and disappeared. Guys, within days of November 30th, 2022, investigators uncovered a chain of evidence pointing directly to Tanner Horner. All right. Evidence that ultimately led him to the death penalty. But before that, he pled guilty. It's wild to hear him plead guilty, show where the body was, and still get the death penalty. Amen, Texas. All right. Now, look, she disappeared shortly after the FedEx contract driver Tanner delivered that Barbie doll package to her home. That Barbie doll package was the You Can Be Anything Barbie. All right. Now, there was a massive 72-hour search. That search didn't even happen for Nancy Guthrie. Nancy Guthrie has never had a 72-hour massive search party. All right. 72 hours, and authorities found Athena's body in a nearby water area about 9 miles from her home, guys. All right. Horner later admitted that he abducted and killed her, but the story he gave was much different. All right. He pled guilty to aggravating kidnapping and capital murder of Athena. Now, Athena's mom, Maitland, I think, Presley, she took the stand. You'll see her on the pictures. I'm not going to play her whole. Yeah, it's too much, and it's very heartbreaking. Now, she lives in Oklahoma, and she attended nearly every hearing. And when she testified, she wore Athena's favorite color. I should have got on that. Pink, right? Didn't have time to find me a pink shirt today. So there's that. Let's get into it.
Verdict in Tanner Horner murders trial. He's accused of kidnapping and killing 7-year-old Athena Strand in Wise County. Let's listen in.
I know. Anticipation. There's Athena Strand's mom with the pink hair for baby Athena, and there's Tanner Horner's head. I'm going to tell you all about death row and everything like that, all right? With the death penalty, where he's going, what he's facing, what's going to happen. Don't worry, guys. I promise I won't let you down.
Everyone may be seated. Good afternoon. Mr. Presiding Juror, it is my understanding the jury has reached a verdict on both issues. Okay, if you'd hand it, please.
Oh, wow.
Answers to special issues. Special issue number one, whether there is a probability that the defendant would commit criminal acts of violence that would constitute a continuing threat to society. Answer, we, the jury, unanimously find beyond a reasonable doubt that the answer to special issue number one is yes, signed by the presiding juror. Special issue number two, whether taking into consideration all the evidence, including the circumstances of the offense, the defendant's character and background, and the personal moral culpability of the defendant, there is a sufficient mitigating circumstance or circumstances to warrant that a sentence of life imprisonment without parole rather than a death sentence be imposed. Answer, we, the jury, unanimously find that the answer to special issue number two is no, signed by the presiding juror.
Yes.
Does either side desire a poll?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
He doesn't even blink. He blinks, but he doesn't really bat an eye. There's no remorse there. The judge does cry, and it's heartbreaking. I watched this yesterday on Grizzly, and even Grizzly True Crime was crying. We're not going there today. We're going to try not to go there today. Hit that like button. It auto saves the video, your phone like to your memory. All right. Thank you. All right, check it out. Let's continue looking at this guy, and then we'll find out what's next.
Anderson, Mr. Goebel, is there any legal reason why sentence should not be pronounced?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Horner, if you'd stand, please. It's the order of the court that you, Tanner Lynn Horner, has been adjudged to be guilty of the offense of capital murder as found by the jury. Jury having answered the special issues, making it mandatory that your punishment be death. It is therefore the order of this court that your punishment be death. Before the hour of sunrise on a date to be determined by this court, upon a mandate of affirmance issued by the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals at the State Penitentiary in Huntsville, Texas, you will be caused to die in accordance with the rules and regulations established by the Texas Department of Criminal Justice until you, said Tanner Horner, are dead. Said execution procedure shall be determined and supervised by the Director of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. The clerk of this court shall issue a death warrant in accordance with this sentence directed to the director of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice for that purpose. Clerk shall deliver such warrant to the sheriff of this county and to be by him delivered to the director of the Department of Criminal Justice together with you, and you will remand to the custody of the Tarrant County Jail to await transportation to the Texas Department of Criminal Justice at Huntsville, Texas, and the execution of this sentence. I will sign this death sentence as required by law.
Yes.
Your appeal of the finding of this guilt by the jury and their determination of the answers to the question in the sentence are automatically appealed to the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals in Austin, Texas. You will be appointed a lawyer to represent you on direct appeal, and your lawyer will receive a copy of the record of this charge, of this case at no charge. You have the right to have a second lawyer to represent you on writs of habeas corpus. It's a separate matter.
Now, listen, we talked about this yesterday, right? Legal jargon. Essentially, these are all formalities in what happens. You're always going to exhaust your appeals. Most of the time, majority of the time, you exhaust your appeals and then you just wait on death row until your time is to come. How they decide that, I don't know, but I will get into some of the things about it. Mama Sage, Athena gets her justice. Amen for that. Thank you so much for the $1.99 super chat. Also, yes, you say no appeals. Let's take a look. Let's continue so we can take a look at what it is.
From your direct appeal, do you wish to have counsel appointed for your writ purposes?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then I will appoint you writ lawyers for that. Ms. Anderson, Mr. Goebel, if you will remain on his case pending his decision, and we have all the appellate paperwork filled out. I have received his acknowledgement certification of the right to appeal, and I appreciate you doing that.
That's just a formality, guys. Don't worry. That's not going to happen, and especially in this case. So let's take a look real quick at what we've got going on, all right? Check this out. We don't know. In Texas, it seems to go a little bit faster, but you guys, we can look up how long it typically takes in Texas. Now, for this case, as we see this today, as you're watching the stuff with me, you're going to see that nobody is going to give this man an appeal, this monster an appeal. All right, nobody. Now, Horner was transferred to Huntsville to be processed to the death row unit last night after being sentenced to death. They move fast, don't they? Horner's case will automatically be appealed under state law, and his execution may not occur for another 10 to 15 years. Now, per TDCJ, the average wait time, well, perfect. We're looking right here. The average wait time for execution is roughly 11.05 years. The shortest time on death row execution would be Joe Gonzalez, who spent 252 days on death row for the murder before being executed in 1996. Thank you, by the way, my girl Tiff, for putting this together. You knew what people wanted to know. The longest ever spent, Brent Brewer, spent 32 years on death row before his execution in 2023, and that was also for capital murder. The average time spent on death row is a little deceptive now because it includes decades of faster executions when Texas was moving through cases far more quickly. As for Horner's day-to-day, what's that going to look like? Well, guys, Texas death row inmates live in a near total isolation, spending 22 to 23 hours a day alone in a small concrete cell with limited human contact. Most are housed at the Alan B. Polinsky unit, where daily life revolves around meals through a slot, solitary recreation, legal appeals, and heavily restricted visits behind the glass. All right, I'm going to move myself for a second because I can't see this. The environment is often described as psychologically draining, with inmates spending years in repetitive confinement while appeals slowly move through the courts. Now, not loud chaos like movies sometimes portray, more like a fluorescent lit stillness where the thickness and decades drip by one appeal at a time until it's exhausted. All right. He will be in hell, and rightfully so. All right. And so I'm not going to totally go into everything about the death row and the facility, but I will just tell you that life inside the Polinsky unit on death row is not going to be easy for him. All right. Here's the article that talks about it in October of 2025. And this is actually where he's going to be for death row, a maximum security prison for men convicted of violent crimes such as CSAM and homicide. It has 584,000 square feet, penitentiary in Livingston with a maximum capacity of 2,984 inmates, and it's infamous for housing the men on state's death row. Now, women sentenced are confined into the different unit, Patrick O'Daniel, which is a much smaller facility. We don't need to get into that. Now, I just want to quickly show you what he's going to be living in, and he's already used to it. He should be used to the inside of this because it looks like it's actually nicer than his shed. All right. Every inmate in Texas is assigned a 7-digit number in the criminal justice system. However, death row prisoners have special numbers, the letters DR or death row on the back of their white cotton shirts serve as a clear indicator of their status. Now, isolated from general population, each death row prisoner is locked in a cell of roughly 60 square feet located in a segregated unit of the prison. These cells contain a metal bed with a thin mattress, a toilet, a sink, and a small window. And rightfully so. There you go. There's Tanner's new home. All right. I'm not going to read this whole article. If you guys want to find out more about him and where he is and what's going to happen, I can always do another episode as well. But today we're going through justice for Athena and the details that led Tanner Horner to death row. All right. I don't know why they get so many appeals. It's legal formalities, right? It is nicer than his home. What? Wasn't it nicer than the house you saw? I mean, that was trash. All right, guys, trigger warning, heavy trigger warning. Okay. Let's get into this. This is going to be it's an 8-minute video, but it's everything that you need to know about everything, pretty much.
A FedEx driver delivered a Christmas present to a 7-year-old girl's home and then left with the little girl herself. Today, a jury sentenced him to death. So I'm Joel Morris, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's go back to November 30th, 2022. Tanner Horner was working as a contract delivery driver for FedEx in Wise County, Texas. That day, his route took him to a quiet rural home in a small community called Paradise. The package he was dropped.
And the reason I'm showing you this is because I just want you to understand what the jurors saw, and that this guy is so dumb, just as dumb as David, right? So dumb that he had audio and video inside of his truck, and he committed that crime right in front of both. All right, which we're lucky that happened, but little Athena was just waiting for that package to come. Now, did she know that was going to be her Christmas gift? She probably asked for it and was excited like all children, right? But I mean, it hits way too close to home when you think about your FedEx driver, guys, or your UPS driver. How many times a day do you see FedEx and UPS at your house or a neighbor's house delivering things, especially during and after COVID? Now, this was in 2022, during kind of the midst of COVID, where everybody was having everything delivered. Okay. She was 7 years old. Let's continue.
Off was a box of Barbie dolls, Christmas gifts meant for the little girl who lived there. 7-year-old Athena Strand was outside near a converted storage shed that served as her and her sister's bedroom, sorting laundry. Her stepmother called 911 at 6:41 that evening when she could no longer find her. By then, Athena was already gone. Investigators figured out pretty quickly that a FedEx delivery had been made to the home right around the time Athena disappeared. They tracked it to a contracting company called Big Topspin, pulled the footage from the van's interior camera, and there she was, Athena, alive,
That's
inside
it
that
right
truck,
there.
kneeling next to the driver. That driver was Tanner Horner. When police approached him, he didn't run, he didn't deny it. He confessed on the spot and told them she was dead. He led them directly to her body. She was found submerged in a few feet of
And that footage you saw was the body cam of him telling law enforcement that he took her clothes and threw it out, but that he didn't do anything to her in a sexual manner. All right. His rebuttal is, so you guys know this happened in Texas, right? Paradise, Texas. His rebuttal was completely the opposite of what happened. Now, Tanner Horner said that he had accidentally hit Athena with his truck while backing up, and she wasn't badly hurt, but he panicked. He said that she also saw him doing coke, and he killed her to prevent her from telling her father. Now, what really happened, led by the prosecution, is that Horner abducted her because she was pretty and he's a pedo. He essayed her. He strangled her when breaking her neck did not work. And his accident story was only a lie just to cover up the violent crime that he committed. Hence why the jury took less than 3 hours, just a little over 2, to sentence him to death. All right? It's horrible.
water near a creek outside Boyd, Texas. Her body was naked. Her hands had been covered with brown bags. His explanation at the time was that he'd accidentally hit Athena with the van while backing out of the driveway. He said she didn't seem seriously hurt, but he panicked, convinced she'd tell her father and he'd lose his job. So he put her in the van and strangled her. That was the story. And for a while, that was all anyone had. But that story had holes, and the trial blew every single one of them open. On April 7th, 2026, the exact day the trial was supposed to begin, right as jury selection finished, Horner stood up in that courtroom and pleaded guilty to capital murder and aggravated kidnapping. Just like that. No guilt phase, no drawn out.
Now, guys, this just shows you why people are so content to have their children playing video games, to be on Roblox, to be on Discord. And then you go to the David case and you're like, shit, why are they isolated inside meeting these predators online to get lured? Well, because if they go outside to play, then this type of shit happens. I mean, I did not want to have to cover this case, guys. I really did not. Because one of the things that surrounds us here in the Bay Area is delivery after delivery. Whether it's DoorDash by a contract person, whether you're Ubering, whether you're getting Amazon Prime or Amazon groceries. So it's just so hard to compartmentalize this case and what happened with every other person that comes and delivers a package. All right. It's like PTSD. Ratty little me, I'm late again, so I'll pay late fee. Love you. Thank you so much. I'm going to start putting a late fee on there. If you come in past 10 minutes, you got to pay up. Just kidding. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Trial, the only thing left for the jury to decide was whether he would live or die for what he did to Athena. And over the next 20 days, that courtroom heard things that had never been made public before. Let's start with the confession, because the way investigators got it out of him is one of the strangest details in his entire case. Texas Ranger Job Espinoza said that when he sat down with Horner, getting a straight answer was nearly impossible until he started speaking directly to a persona Horner called Zero. Horner described Zero as an alter ego that would take over without warning. Espinoza testified, quote, "I played his game and I spoke to Zero. Ultimately, it's about locating Athena and getting to the truth, and whatever he wants to be called. I'm willing to do that as long as it means actually getting to the truth," end quote. And it worked. Speaking as Zero, Horner led investigators straight to where Athena's body was. Now here's where the story Horner told starts falling apart. During the sentencing phase, a forensic psychiatrist named Dr. Eileen Ryan.
Not only that, guys, but the evidence that they put out in court with Athena standing inside of the FedEx truck clearly shows that she wasn't hurt or nearly dead. Nothing happened. And he left the audio on for everybody to hear that he was trying to, excuse me, but break her neck. right? When everything else failed. So, I mean, this is just, yeah, when you're in a city, when you're in a big city, Los Angeles, New York, Houston, right? Places that are just fast paced, typically you do more deliveries because you're working and hustling and so you let the delivery people go. Again, usually it's bigger towns. It's basically damned if you let your kids outside, damned if you let your kids inside. Exactly. What the hell are we supposed to do?
Called by the defense, testified that after 4 days of interviews with Horner at the jail, he eventually gave her a completely different version of what happened. He told her he didn't put Athena in that van because he hit her with it. He put her in the van because she saw him snorting cocaine inside the truck. As Dr. Ryan told the jury, quote, he immediately jumped to the conclusion that Athena saw him snorting cocaine, and so she was going to tell, and he was going to lose his job, which meant he was not going to be able to support his son. He was going to lose his son, end quote. Prosecutors weren't buying it. Footage from the van showed that Horner had used sticky notes to cover the front-facing camera approximately 1 hour before he even arrived at Athena's home. That's not a panic move. That's preparation. He covered that camera before he ever pulled into that driveway. But the camera inside the van, the one facing the back, kept recording audio even after Horner covered.
I mean, these jurors, they're gonna need therapy. That's all I gotta say. This case really played on my mind as well. And I gotta tell you, Bestie and others, when I cover a case like this, of this magnitude, it always gives you pause and you always have some kind of, this is why I say trigger warning. There's always some kind of like traumatic response when you're, when you're that connected to a case and it just hits you. You have nightmares sometimes. Yeah, she was absolutely a doll. Oh, why did this have to happen? No, I don't. I can't. None of that. Now he won't see his son. Nope. All right, let's continue. There's so much more to get into, guys. That all the things he did are just unfathomable.
And what that audio captured is what made jurors break down in that courtroom. Athena can be heard talking to Horner about her school and her teacher. She's a 7-year-old kid just talking, and then everything changes. Horner tells her, quote, don't scream or I'll hurt you, end quote. He then tells her to take off her shirt and the rest of her clothes. And then, according to reports from inside the courtroom, as Athena screamed, Horner could be heard singing Jingle Bell Rock. He first tried to break her neck. When that didn't work, he strangled her with his bare hands. The medical examiner testified that Athena died from blunt force trauma, smothering, and strangulation. There was a zigzag tread pattern pressed into her face. Prosecutors said it matched the sole of Horner's shoe. DNA analysts also testified that Horner could not be excluded as a contributor of male DNA found in Athena's assault kit and under her fingernails.
And so, I mean, he straight up lied, but when you watch the trial, she wasn't the only one that he did that to, including the surprise witness of his male cousin. And when you listen to it, like, I'm not gonna play that. I already read the surprise witness and him telling him, bend over. This is literally what he said, bend over. He tried to put it in, it wouldn't fit. So he, et cetera, et cetera. You guys don't need to hear that. He's a demon. Yeah. And like you said, that's what most of the trial was like. No shoot vaccine. Literally. That's why I couldn't just continuously watch it. It's really bad. I'll take the highlights of the case, which are really not highlights, but you know what I mean.
This was the first time an SA had been publicly confirmed in this case. So after she was dead, Horner dumped Athena's naked body into the Trinity River. Then he stopped at a Love's travel shop, borrowed cleaning supplies, scrubbed down the inside of that van, and returned it to the FedEx station so it could go right back into service the next morning.
Now, do I even have to tell you why he was cleaning the truck? Does everybody already know? Everybody that watched this know what he was cleaning the truck for? Well, because one thing is when you strangle somebody, many times, probably all the time, they lose their bowel movements. They pee or they poop on themselves while they're dying as they're being strangled. That allegedly happened, and it made Tanner Horner throw up. Okay, so on top of what happened to little Athena and the fluids that came out of her, he also threw up. So he had to then say, Oh yeah, I spilled some. I'll show you guys in a bit, but yeah, I've got this story about whatever. I got sick and I have to clean it up. All right, we can hear everything: the crying, the screaming, the banging from the back of the truck. We can hear it all. All right.
Next morning, December 1st, surveillance footage showed Horner driving right back past the Strand family home. Around 300 people were out there searching: neighbors, deputies, Texas Rangers, civilians with dogs and four-wheelers. Horner drove through all of it, and when the road was blocked by search vehicles, he got frustrated about the delay. The trial also exposed a pattern of behavior going back years before Athena. Two women came forward to testify about prior SA by Horner. The first said he assaulted her after she made clear she wasn't interested in a relationship with him. The second said she first met Horner when she was 16 and he was 21. She said he knowingly pursued her and instructed her to lie about her age to other people. She testified that in December of 2014, after a night of drinking, she woke up to Horner SAing her. And then,
of course, and I'm sure there were several others. I can't imagine. Get out of my head, Jack Stormo. I literally was watching the worst X ever. I was watching it before I came on here and I did not get to finish it because I had to stream. So Mrs. Guilty finished it. I'll have to ask her what it's about or what happened. Crazy. I know. Guys, I know. They had to hear all of that. Can you imagine if there was video on the whole thing? Now, this is going to be a lethal injection from what I hear. If anybody heard different, let me know. I'm pretty sure it's lethal injection, which is just essentially putting him to sleep. I wish they would do something like a firing squad or the electric chair, but it's just not going to be.
And on the very last day of testimony, prosecutors called a witness nobody expected, a man identified only as Billy, who described growing up alongside Horner almost like a cousin from the age of 3. Billy testified that Horner SA'd him when he was 10 years old. He also told the jury that over the years, Horner had made comments about wondering what it would be like to kill someone. Billy said he had reached out to Horner's own defense attorneys and told them he wanted to talk to prosecutors. He said they ignored him. He only ended up on that stand because he made a Facebook post about it, and prosecutors found.
I doubt we're going to go backwards at this point. So, Mystery Melissa, if it changes, it would probably change in the favor that's of Tanner Horner, right? Because through the years, it's like when we did executions, people were upset because it's inhumane. There's people that don't want the death penalty to be had, and so over the time, we've come into we've gone from electric chair to firing squad to everything up until the most humane way to go, which would be the lethal injection. You just fall right asleep and you never wake up. All right. And that's because people wanted it to be like that. They said it's not humane. All right. Jessica says, I have 2 small kids and my 9-year-old son always says, Mom, I'm so tired of you being so overprotective. This is why. You got it, my friend. You're absolutely right.
Him. The defense made their case too. Dr. Ryan testified that Horner carries diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder, major depression, ADHD, bipolar disorder, and fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. His mother took the stand and admitted she was using meth, cocaine, and marijuana while pregnant with him. At the end of her testimony, she broke down crying and turned toward Athena's family with an apology. His grandmother, who largely raised him, testified that he was a bully constantly as a kid and that she tried everything to protect and support him. Horner's attorneys also told the jury that Horner himself was SA'd by a neighbor as a child. The judge had already denied a motion to remove the death penalty from consideration based on his autism diagnosis. He also denied a last-minute request to take death off the table after the defense argued that international media coverage had resulted in death threats against their team witnesses and Horner himself. Athena's mother, Maitland Gandhi, took the stand and described the last time she saw her daughter.
And I have it on the lined up today, so to speak, but I don't know if I'm going to play it. 3 years ago when this happened, her mom also looked like that with the pink hair. She did a 20-minute interview about what happened, etc. She never would have thought in 3 years from then that Tanner would have got the death penalty. Prison justice, please. Right. All right, let's continue.
Promise she made to take her to see Christmas lights that Friday. She told the jury she has kept the red bow Athena was wearing in the last photos ever taken of her, and that she carries it with her. Athena's father testified about the weight of having left for a hunting trip the day she disappeared. He said he stopped eating, lost 50 pounds, and started drinking to cope with the grief. When asked what he misses most about Athena, he said her laugh and her spirit. She loved everyone. Closing arguments were this morning. Wise County District Attorney James Staten told that jury the only just outcome was death. He reminded them that Horner was still lying and changing his story as recently as January of this year, saying, quote, "That is not someone who's taking responsibility for their actions. That is someone who continues to lie, divert, and is attempting to continue to change the narrative about themselves," end quote. The defense asked for mercy one final time, and then the jury went to deliberate. 2 hours later, they came back. Death. Out of this tragedy came the Athena Alert, a Texas law passed in Athena's name that allows law enforcement to issue a public alert for a missing child without having to meet every original Amber Alert.
That's the good thing in this case, although we should have had that before. All right, may Athena rest in peace. And do you guys want me to keep going? We did have 160 people, and I'm seeing people in chat saying I can't listen to this. I'll come back. Do you guys want to just wrap this up? I mean, I don't know. I'm going to keep going. Let me know in chat if you want me to stay here and keep going. Do me a favor, drop a 1 in chat and a comment, hit the like button, because I see a lot of people. And this is a hard one, but I'm not going to go on and on if you guys don't want to hear it. You don't want to know what happened or what happened. You know what I mean? Yes, Athena's law. Now, that's should have happened. We're going to get into the jail letters and the apology, the blame, and the shocking claims. I didn't know about any of that. I didn't know any about that. I knew a little, but I didn't watch the trial. So on here, I went on to X, and this is what the jury broke down in tears when they saw the footage of. They had to see and hear the footage of 7-year-old Athena Strand being whatever, essayed and then ultimately strangled. There was also footage, guys, of Tanner Horner telling his boss that he had thrown up in the truck and requesting the same vehicle the next day. All right. The footage of the abduction reportedly showed Horner dropping off a package, a Barbie gift. And then Horner allegedly picked up Athena and placed her in the back of the FedEx truck with the closed door. He's even then seen whispering something to her as she moved in from the back. And Athena says, and the jury could hear, "Are you a kidnapper?" Horner told her to sit down and not scream or he would hurt her. Now, seeing this caused some of her family members, obviously, to leave the courtroom, and Horner then covered the camera so only audio could be heard. Now, after trying to make conversation about how old Athena was, where she goes to school, Tanner says, "You're really pretty, you know that?" Horner then asked Athena to take her shirt off. She said no and asked for her mom. All right. Athena was then heard crying, screaming. Loud banging was coming from the back of the truck, according to local reports. Athena's grandparents, Jacob Strand and Maitland Gandy, have both testified in the trial, but they did not sit in the courtroom while the video was played. Now, after cleaning up the back of the truck with some kind of spray and a roll of paper towels, Horner was heard on the phone claiming that he had eaten bad food and gotten sick, requesting the same FedEx truck the next day. All right, let me show you this for a minute. It's unbelievable, this whole thing.
Just let you know, I wasn't able to tell you earlier because I was trying to go get the cleaning supplies out of the bottles, but I kind of threw up in the back.
Oh, they don't let you.
I threw up in the back of the truck. So there's this one single gas station that's out where I work, right? And they have this little cafe on the inside. I ate a hamburger for lunch. There's a little bit cheap in the middle, which, normally that's not that big, know I work just like that in the restaurants all the time. But I've been feeling nauseous for the last few hours. And I finally just
Okay.
Oh no, I actually feel a lot better. About 15 minutes.
I mean, we don't need to continue. He's telling it's hard to hear, and there's no caption on this. He's saying that he got sick in the truck, he threw up. Now he's smoking a cigarette. Just before that, it looked like he was eating something. Like there's zero remorse. This is after he did that, right? And he doesn't even nothing, like nothing.
Oh, well, I'm really not supposed to. Well, I tried to sweep it off on his
He tried to sweep it off. He's saying he got sick and he threw up, but really it was Athena that lost her bowels and whatever other fluids and him throwing up. All right. But like nothing, he just continues on. I mean, I don't even want to imagine this anyway. No way, no how. I understand why the jury came back so fast with the death penalty, right? So I want you guys also to see his jail letters, inside of jail letters, apology, blame, and shocking claims. Now, if I were able to read this and they showed it, or if I had a copy of it, I would have read it to you, but we're going to play this and I might need to read some of it if you can't hear it. All right. Yeah, there's a divider. It's not really a divider, but it's like a closing thing. I guess you call it a divider. Yes. And he had that closed when the camera was turned back on. It was never turned off. I'm sorry. He just covered it up. All right. And does he sound autistic to you making a complete story? Nope. I'm glad they left. I know. I agree. I agree. All right. And that'll leave that up for a minute. He is pure evil. All right. He wrote this to Athena's family. Now he says, I want to start by saying how sorry I am about Athena. Let's get into this.
Athena's family. I wanted to start by saying how sorry I am about Athena. The entire time I've known my legal counsel, they've continued to tell me how I don't need to apologize, shouldn't apologize until the trial. And frankly, I can't hold it in any longer. I've done a terrible thing to your family, and I'm sorry. I can't tell you how many countless nights I've stayed awake, unable to sleep. I pray for all of you. So many were affected by my breakdown. Not just your family, but my own as well. You'll never get to see your baby girl grow up, and I'm sorry. Now my son is going to grow up without his father and protector. I owe it to you all to explain where my mind is at. Let me start by saying that I have Asperger's syndrome. In other words, I'm on the
again, trigger warning heavily on this part because he's trying to apologize, but he's also, I don't know what he's doing. He's trying to apologize, but really it's a poor me sympathy. I want to start off by saying I'm sorry about Athena. I want to apologize, right? You can't apologize for something like that. You can apologize for, I'm sorry, I went to go deliver a package, but I ran over your cat or something like that, right? That's like the worst, but you can't apologize to something like that. Yeah, he tries to make himself the victim. All right.
autism spectrum. I don't do well with change or things that are unpredictable in nature. When I first started out as a driver at FedEx, I was given a singular route, and that route wouldn't change for a while. After a bit, my employer started making random changes to my route, adding stuff from other routes so they could make more money. I don't do well with change. Again, I can have meltdowns when unexpected changes to my daily routine happen. It was so bad one day I started to have a suicidal episode. I had to leave early that day, or I was going to walk myself into
Sorry, I was muted. I think this hurt him more than it helped him 110%. This is the same thing as if your lawyer tells you, do not testify. Do not testify, because then the jurors will see that you have no remorse, no empathy, no. This is what he done. I mean, I think he did himself in with several things, but he absolutely did himself in with this, and it's more of a plea for himself than an apology.
Becoming traffic. The only thing that stopped me was thinking of my son growing up without his father. So I took off for a week and sought out help. I got put on medication, and a week later I was back at work. I've let my employers know how I needed to keep consistent routine and I wouldn't have any issues. However, I was ignored. When I returned, they did the opposite of what was good for someone like me. They made me a floater. They put me on a different route every day, every time. Going on to the next page. Now we're going to go on to State's Exhibit number 281. Is this a true and correct copy of the second page?
Again, I just want to lay this down and document what happened to get us where we are and why he was sentenced to death so fast. All right. Again, I'm trying not to put the most triggering things in, but the most important things in the case. So do me a favor, hit that like button. I know that you're not going to like the topic, and I know it's hard to digest, but hit the like button so that we can get this in the algorithm. Get yourself a membership or gift yourself a membership. I'm going to gift you a membership right now. So if anybody wants to match me, thank you. Let's continue.
Of that document, Investigator Yarl?
Yes.
Okay. May I publish, Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I reminded them that I needed to be on a routine. It was like it would go in one ear and out the other. My mental health started to steadily get worse because of it. I couldn't just quit either. I had a son and I had to take care of it. Then on top of all that, certain aspects of my home life started to fall apart as well. I guess they got sick of me constantly telling them I needed consistency because they sold me off to another company without me having any say in the matter. In hindsight, I'm starting to think they were attempting to get me to quit, which in retrospect was kind of scummy. After a while, with the new contractor I started with, Big Top Spin.
I mean, do you think that anybody wants to hear this? Do you think any of the family members want to hear this? Do you think any of the jury wants to hear this, guys? Like, I mean, he literally, I want to start off by apologizing. Like if you ran over your neighbor's mailbox, maybe. Okay, sorry, man, I didn't mean to. I hit your mailbox. I'll get it fixed. That's how that is the depth of his letter. And then he goes on to talk about himself. All right. Let me know if you guys got the membership. If you needed one and you got it, let us know you're here. Rebecca, good to see you. We're doing well. All right. Yeah, no, the family did not want to hear this shit for sure. All right, let's continue. His son is better. 110%. He's lying about that anyway. He wasn't this good father that was present. BS.
My life started to kind of fall back into place. I got a car again, but I was still consistently stressed and had multiple minor meltdowns because even this new company had no regard for my mental health because they still refused to put me on a consistent route. The holidays came and my stress only multiplied. They forced everyone to work 6-day weeks as volume got higher and higher. It was all the wrong place and the wrong time. I'm sorry I allowed my mental state to be unstable. I'm sorry I took your little angel away from you. She didn't deserve it. You all didn't deserve it. My son didn't deserve to lose his father. My mother didn't deserve to lose her son. My fiance didn't deserve to have her wedding day stripped from
Me, him. What? Are you listening to them? My son didn't deserve to lose his dad. My girl didn't. What? They didn't even have the son when this happened. I still don't think Cassie has the son. I wouldn't want to hear this at all. I think they had him heavily guarded in case somebody attacked him from the audience, because that's one of those things that you get attacked over. Why would you think the family would want to hear this or care? But listen, I'm sure that this helped sway the jury to the death sentence in a little over 2 hours, guys. Remember that. It didn't take days. It didn't take even hours. It didn't take all day. It took a little over 2 hours, and he got the death penalty.
I pray that my death eases your suffering in some way. The only thing I ask for, forgiveness, and for you to remember my son and show him some grace and mercy, for he no longer has his father. I love you all, and I'm sorry. Tanner Horner. Is that what it says?
Yes, sir.
All right. So now, with that envelope, was there also a smaller piece of paper inside of that envelope?
Yes.
So now I'm going to go on to State's Exhibit number 281. Is this the front side of that smaller piece of paper?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Side notes. FedEx ground themselves are quite negligent when it comes to safety. They do nothing to make sure contractors' vehicles are actually road ready. Polaris and Big Topspin both tell their employees to lie on their beginning and end of day expectations.
Why would anyone want to hear this? Number one, that's not what happened. As a matter of fact, we got to thank FedEx for having the video and the audio in that truck. If they didn't, we might not have gotten this far this fast. All right. Absolutely disgusting. His face when the uncle was so strange. His face when the uncle was so strange. I don't know what. I must miss part of it. Let's continue.
Because it's a pain to unground vehicles. And then the backside also had some writing. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Now I'm going to go on to State's Exhibit number 283. I hope this letter both helps you ease your suffering and helps with your case against FedEx. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I forgot one thing. I want to go back to the top of.
I mean, yeah, you can't. There's no way to do true crime, cover true crime every day, and not laugh about something, right? This is not alleged. This guy is a monster. This guy is a murderer. This guy is a rapist. He's been found guilty, right? So yeah, we can definitely have a laugh about this piece of garbage and how he sings, etc. We can't. There's no way I could do true crime every day by just being sad about things. So the good thing that happened in this case, number one, is that the Athena's law is going to help other children hopefully get past needing an Amber Alert and meeting those. Number two, the good thing about it is that he got the death penalty and they were able to bring her body home to the parents for a proper burial. All right. It's not like 30 years later, she's missing. The parents have been, looking for her, can't stop. So, I mean, there's things that you can say on the upside, but this is a horrible case, period.
State's Exhibit 281, we did not read this part. It says, little asterisk says, just know I have found God through all of this. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
They always do.
Yeah.
Your Honor, we would ask that the state read everything. He omitted the closing.
I believe you skipped one line at the very end.
At the very end? Oh,
Yes.
I apologize. I did write, I love you all, and I'm sorry. Okay, so with love and sorrow and remorse, I love you all, and I'm sorry, Tanner Horner. Is that the part?
He had so much remorse that he didn't even know how to spell remorse. All right. He didn't have any remorse. This was all about him. Let's be real in this. All right. He couldn't even spell remorse. Sorrow and remorse. What's that word?
Now, in addition to this letter, the other letter I want to talk about is the one that said for detectives only. All right.
Yes, sir.
So we're going to go to State's Exhibit number 284. This is the envelope. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, it is.
And inside of that envelope, did it have a one-page letter with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And may I publish this, Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Now, this says detectives only. I mean, he thought he was going to outsmart everybody, guys. All right. He thought he was going to pull it off just like David has. And I can't even understand why they thought that was going to happen. They must be so narcissistic and whatever else they're classified as that they do something like this. This is disgusting. Why not just plead guilty, show him where the body is, and tell the damn truth? He still got the death penalty, and he made the family and everybody, all of us, go through this.
Detective, my family is in danger. It's 2 days before my arraignment date, and I'm worried that I'll be killed either to or from my way to court.
Yay.
The day Athena was killed, I wasn't the only one involved. When I pulled up to the house, an older man had pulled a rifle on me and demanded my wallet. It's weird, he almost expected me to be there. After he checked my wallet, he gave me instructions after handing me my wallet back. He told me to take the girl and bring her to a specific spot, parentheses, the area with the tall grass bamboo, in parentheses. He gave me a change of clothes for the girl and told me to have her changed into them before handing her over to him. He had threatened my family and I didn't know what to do, so I just went along with it. Don't tell the media, BTW. IDK if he's going to do something. If I'm killed on the way.
Wow, really? I mean, this guy is just digging himself deeper into a hole. Now we're getting on the Letitia Stout kind of deal, right? There was some man named Eduardo when he raped me, and then it was this guy, and it was and there was a black Mexican, and come on, man. Are you serious right here? I didn't even see this yet. This is the first time I've seen this. Yeah, where's her shirt? Damn, this guy.
To or from the courthouse, I'll assume it was him. When I handed her over, she seemed like she knew him. It kind of freaked me out when she calmed down after seeing him. I shut my headlights off and followed them, and I saw him park his truck by that creek. The next day, I went by there after work and saw the girl's body. I put her body in the water. I needed to get this out, even if it was just in writing. Don't tell the media. Don't tell my family. They'll tell the media. Don't tell the family of Athena until after their lawsuit against FedEx goes through. This is between me and you, detective. As long as it stays between us, my family stays safe. I'll gladly keep the blame as long as they're safe.
I don't know if he's trying to write this from the perspective of Zero, but it is embarrassing, man. And you got me going on that, Clark. Every time I hear the Letitia Stout thing, I hear Eduardo, like an egg and then Wardo. Like, are you really making up that name right now? Eduardo? What the hell does that even mean? Yes. Did his family move? No, nobody's done anything. This is probably true because rightfully so. I'm sure that they want to take him out and his family just because of what happened, right? Is that fair? No, we don't want people attacking the family that had nothing to do with it. Yes, she gave birth to him. And yes, we know she used drugs and other things, but we still don't want to hurt his family. But I understand people wanting to. I get it.
The man was older, probably 50s, gray hair, short military style haircut, kind of fat, with a bit of upper body muscle. I handed him the girl's clothes when I gave him her. I either missed the pants or he put them back on the truck somehow. I'm not sure. But 3 times he asked me about the cameras on the FedEx truck. Unless y'all find him, keep it from everybody. I don't want my family hurt. I'm sorry I've been a burden on y'all. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
A FedEx driver delivered a
Wow. That is utter and complete garbage. This is all he's going to get is this. And look at how creepy. Look at how much weight he's lost and how creepy he is. I hope he emaciates in prison and just, yeah, I wouldn't doubt it if something happens to him very quickly. All right, let me get to this now. I want you to know that Athena fought like a warrior, and this was, over an hour of it was over an hour. Every video I've seen is hours and hours. This is cut down thanks to justice as a process, to the medical examiner confirming Athena Strand was a warrior. So let's listen to the 12 minutes with the state exhibit of the medical examiner and what happened to little Athena. Guys, please, again, hit that like button. Make sure that you understand this is very triggering. All right. And we can still laugh when we say Eduardo and stuff like that. 11 Summer Moon. Jay, as a first timer here, I'm enjoying your interaction with the chat and the videos. Well, thank you. You guys welcome 11 Summer Moon to the crime crew. All right. Please don't forget to subscribe so we can see you again. Yeah. Eduardo, man. It's like Casey Anthony blaming Zanny the nanny, right? But she's running free.
And so if you just take that one out of the notebook and just set it to the side, if you would. Not the
Just the
picture
page.
itself, the whole page. We'll leave that for now.
Okay.
And then I'll come back to it in a little while. Now I want you to talk about well, first of all, what does State's Exhibit number 245, what part of her body does that show, and what do you see as to describe it to the jury?
Yeah, right.
It's primarily her face, and there is the sticker I was just talking about with the scale. It's just under her lower lip, so you can just see all of the injuries that I previously described that are on her face.
And this tread pattern that you're observing, did it
Ooh.
appear to be like one single placement of that tread pattern or more than one?
More than one.
And is there a difference in your opinion to stomping injuries versus pressing injuries?
Yes.
And can you
Nope.
tell the jury what that is?
So in my opinion, it would be stomping is with the foot, but has force to it. Whereas pressing, I mean, that doesn't necessarily have to be the foot, but pressing means it's just held against the surface of the body, not with any sort of.
Now remember, they found a shoe mark or shoe imprint that matched his on her face. And he tried to break her neck with his foot, but instead he strangled her because it wasn't working and she was fighting back. All right. So Elvin, like she's like it's Christmas and she's Christmas elfin in the house. All right. I saw 11, but Elfin Summer Moon, we got you. He's like 4 years of psych class and 1 demon, right? Major trigger warning. Yeah. You're welcome. We got you. We got you, Elvin. We got you. All right. This lady, I love this lady right here. She just, bam.
Force.
Well, I'm trying to determine, you say not with any sort of force. Does it take some force?
Some degree of force.
In order for these injuries to be visible?
Yes.
Okay. But would you expect other associated injuries if it were stomping versus pressing?
Yes.
And what would
Stomping
those
versus
associated
pressing.
injuries be?
I mean, I would think that especially if it was on the face, you have a lot of delicate bones that are in the face. So I would expect there to be some fracturing
Guys.
with a stomping injury.
Are these injuries considered by you to be abrasions or contusions or mixture?
Mixture.
Okay. And kind of explain, as you're looking at it, where do you see abrasions, where do you see contusions? On this photograph.
On this photograph. So on State's Exhibit 45, again, it's all of those types of injuries that you see primarily just in the face area, the forehead, the nose, both eye areas, cheeks, and even the lips.
Yeah, dude.
Where's there associated damage? You say contusions goes into the muscular.
Faster, man.
Is there contusions associated with these injuries?
Not that fast. Sorry.
Not from this picture. She had some contusions that's not true. She had some on her forehead. She had one on the lower left cheek area, on her right lip, and then also under the chin.
With regard to, go on to State's Exhibit number
I mean, did he really need to cause that kind of damage? Did she fight back that hard? I think so. I do think so. And guys, there's so many cases while I'm sitting here listening to this and talking to you. Yeah, at all times there's breaking news about something, right? There's a new case in Florida, of course, of all things. I don't know if you guys heard. 4 family members, including an infant, found dead in 2 homes after the man seen in a vest and loading a large bag in a car. I mean, it just keeps happening every day. I don't know why. We're gonna have to probably do an episode on statistics and crime then and crime now. I just this is just a lot. Dang. All right.
246 and 247.
Let's go a little bit past that. All right.
We've already looked at 244, but 248, does that show the other side of her face?
Okay.
State's Exhibit 248 is the left side of her face.
Yes.
And then I think it was 244, which is that also the left side?
Yeah.
That's the left side of her head, so you can kind of see it's further away than 248, which is more up close to the left side of her face.
And you described some of the contusions, I think, were on that side of her face.
Yes, sir.
And for a contusion rather than abrasion, is it more or less force that is generally needed to cause a contusion versus an abrasion?
More.
Now, on that same side of the face, you described, and I'm referring to State's Exhibit number 249, you described something around or associated with her left ear.
Oh, hold on. The dog's saying hi.
Yes, sir.
Okay, could you describe what that is?
So she had let me find it in my report.
Referring to your report.
Yes, okay, here it is. She had contusions measuring up to a 1/4 inch on the helix of the ear, which I said is the top of the ear here. And she had a 1/2 inch contusion on the posterior aspect of her left ear, in addition to a contusion on the part of the.
What's up, Flojo? Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Yeah, we have all mental health crisis. That's another thing about this. Everybody hashtag take your meds. I see people dropping out. I think what I'm gonna do is continue to let's talk a little bit more about the case rather than the medical examiner. I just wanted you to know that they said she fought like hell and what he did to her. Okay. So, I mean, we're not seeing these, thankfully. Hopefully, I'm not muted because I had to mute myself in a minute. Everyone go pass your stuff, puff, pass your medicine, all right? I get it. It's hard. And I'm glad we don't have to see these photographs. She's looking at them, and what she's talking about is there's another picture of her lower lip. Obviously, there was impact with her tooth, right? She fought hard. Pattern of these spaces on lacerations of her. Yeah, there's it's a lot. That's why I didn't even attempt to do the hour and something. I guess down the neck a little bit. I mean, hold on, let me
going on to, I guess, down the neck a little bit. You looking at page 3. Good point. Every injury we've talked about so far, those are those of those classifications, ante-mortem versus post-mortem. Can you tell us what those injuries are?
Ante-mortem.
So prior to death.
Yes.
Prior.
All of those blows.
Yes.
On her head, her face, her shoulders.
Or before.
Head, back of her head, top of her head, all occurred ante-mortem. Is that right?
Yes.
And for purposes of the record, or for the jury, does that mean while she was still alive?
Yes.
Let me tell you what. So she fought like heck, and it came perfectly onto this because they're going to quote the angel of death and talk about the case a little bit more. All right. We really need to get this. We need more people to know about this case. If they don't, you're absolutely right. She was a brave little princess, and this guy is just pure evil. Check this out.
Really brought chills is he compared the defendant to Satan, basically. And this is the verse that he used. It's out of 2 Corinthians 11:14. It's, for Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light, when referring to the defendant. So I knew a bombshell was coming, because they've been the lawyers and officers, anyone who has anything to do with this case, there's been a gag order that the judge ordered. So all we've heard all along is that he was delivering her Barbies for Christmas, and that he accidentally backed up and hit her, and that he was afraid of getting in trouble and making her dad mad.
Now, I want you to remember this, two things. This happened November of 2022, okay? Which means that this guy probably signed his waiver, signed his right away to a speedy trial. Why? That's why he sat there for what? This happened 2022. It's 2026. And I'm glad it moved along fast, but I just want you to see, when we're looking at other cases and you're like, Jay, why aren't they arrested yet? Jay, how come there's no trial? Because that's what happens in cases like this. It takes a really long time to get the evidence together. And then most defense teams, their strategy is delay, delay, delay. All right, let's continue. And again, I hope that more information doesn't come out. I hope no files are released where we can see or hear the audio. There's just no reason for it.
And so he brings her into his van and then murders her. And so that's all we've heard. But now we're hearing through testimony all of the lies, what has happened. And it's bone chilling. It truly is. And we've got other things going on that we can address too, that the defense, basically, their job is to try to keep him alive, right?
Right.
So
right. It's like I equate it to an oncologist. You're trying to keep him alive.
Yes.
So Terry, I got a question for you. So look, you're right that the defense strategy, anytime you have a death penalty case, as you and Ashley know, it's to keep the client alive. But now we don't have to refer to him as an alleged murderer. We know that he's a murderer, and we've got lots of audio and video that we're going to be sharing with our audience here in just a few moments. But to address more of the prosecutor's opening statement, you pointed out that
here's the thing is we didn't really have opening statements. We got a little bit of the opening statements, and then that was it. He pled guilty. I was like, hey, what's going to happen now? Right? So that on the day the prosecutors started the opening statements, Tanner Horner pled guilty. All right. So let's continue with that, knowing that.
Going into this, all we would have known was that the defendant was claiming this was an accident and that he hid it from the cops to keep, the dad from getting mad or whatever. So that's all we knew. But the prosecutor has revealed certain evidence. And one of the things that he said in his closing argument that I thought was very powerful were the first words out of this man's mouth to little Athena. Let's take a listen to SOT 10.
First thing Tanner Horner says to Athena when he picks her up and puts her in that truck, he leans down and he says, "Don't scream or I'll hurt you." He says that twice. You're going to hear it. We're going to put it on screen for you. That's the first thing out of his mouth. He made good on it.
Yeah.
Set that up for us. Tell us how they know this. What is the evidence that they have that this is what happened?
They have video evidence. And
they have video and audio, and the poor jurors had to see and hear all of this. And for those of you that watched the entire trial, oh, bless you, because I don't know how. I just couldn't do it. Saucy Skin CBD says, happy hump day. What's up, my friend? Good to see ya. You got that skunk over there? You took your meds. I bet Saucy Skin CBD's got the skunk over there, huh? Yeah, it's sick. That's why we're just doing highlights and what happened to Tanner. Where are you going? What happened? The sentencing and some things throughout the trial. Not too much.
His FedEx van has a video camera in that van. What's interesting is the prosecutor in his opening statements did say, we have video. We know how this happened. But then the video went away because it was covered up. He said, but we have the audio and we can hear exactly what went on in that truck. And we can also figure out what a 240-pound man can do to a 67-year-old child. I mean, it was a powerful opening statement.
Yeah, we've got some of that. Let me catch it. We've actually got.
Yeah, I want you guys to see this so you understand where all of this was coming from, because he was trying to go into this. It wasn't a trial anymore. It was the sentencing phase. So I hope you guys realize that there was going to be a trial that started. And when a trial starts, there's opening statements from the prosecutor and then the defense. But they didn't get there because the prosecutor started the opening statements and then Tanner pled guilty. I was like, oh no, what's going to happen next? And then all of a sudden I see all this evidence being presented and I realize, oh shoot, this is the penalty phase, like Wade Wilson, except this one is signed, sealed, delivered that day, arrest him and send him to prison, thankfully. With Wade Wilson, it was a whole bunch of other stuff. All right, cuff you, have a good night, prayers for you as always. See you tomorrow, my friend. All right.
At that for SOT 11. Let's go ahead and run that.
Tanner Horner shows up, delivers package, leaves with Athena. Now, I'm going to put you as close as you can be without actually being there that day. We have video of it, and we're going to show it to you. Now, you may be thinking, wow, maybe we have video of the whole thing. Nope. Somebody covered up the camera. They don't want you to see. Guess what? Audio is still running, and you're going to hear it. You're going to hear what a 250-pound man can do to a 67-pound child.
Damn. I didn't even realize that's what they were saying. I thought they were saying a 6 to 7-year-old. What do you mean there's no sound? What? You must have caught at a part. Oh, yeah. You must have caught at some other part because there's sound, my friend. There's sound. Yeah, good night, cuff you. 67 pounds compared to 250. Now, again, remember, he's trying to say that he hit her with the FedEx truck. She was okay, but she saw him doing D-rugs, and she was going to tell her dad. I wouldn't have wanted her dad after me either, but this could have all been prevented.
When I say it's horrible, I mean it. I've been doing this 25 years, and I promise you,
I know.
buckle up.
Powerful, powerful stuff.
I don't know that I want to hear it.
I know.
And he went on, and this was just one of the worst parts. He went on to talk about how her DNA was places that you shouldn't find it in a DNA.
Yes.
7-year-olds. Yes. I mean, I can't even imagine what the jurors were saying. I think we've got that at SOT 12.
What does punishment look?
Yeah, and the bottom line is whether he was doing them or not, he was doing them regularly. We see him on his YouTube channel and you see him on his Instagram. We know that he does them. Maybe he wasn't doing them at the time. We know she didn't catch him. Maybe he did them when after or whatever, but that's neither here nor there. That was just part of his story. All right. And I don't want to hear it either. Definitely don't want to hear the audio.
We have DNA.
DNA.
Not only do we have initial DNA from Athena that has Tanner Horner's DNA under her fingernails, we also have DNA, Tanner Horner DNA, in places where you shouldn't find DNA on a 7-year-old girl.
You knew he was
So Terry,
done.
that was powerful that we hear that there's DNA in places that shouldn't be. So what have we heard from Mr. Horner this whole time about any sexual assaults?
He's denied it every time they've asked him, or even implied that she could have been sexually assaulted, or they've never used those words, by the way.
They've never used those words, and he tried to say, I didn't do anything with her. He didn't use those words, but he tried to allude to the fact that he didn't touch her in that way. But then you get two women coming to the trial and his male cousin from when he was 10 years old talking about him raping them. So we know what he was doing. We know more than likely what his motive was. I don't know why he took it a step further and killed her. I don't know. I wonder if he's done that before. I can't imagine. Maybe because she was fighting back so hard and she kept saying, I'm going to tell my dad, and it freaked him out. I don't know.
But it's interesting when he was in the police department doing this interview with the ranger, the Texas Ranger, he said, I know what you're going to ask me. I know what you're going to ask me. And the ranger said, what? He said, I didn't do it. I didn't sexually assault her.
So was he charged with any of those, with anything?
He
Okay,
wasn't.
interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah,
No charges.
yeah, that's a very good point too. Actually, he wasn't in the indictment. He was not charged with sexual assault, but they
Well,
are
I was
going.
wondering, yeah, because like with death penalty, they always have to have some aggravators, and so I figured that would have been one of the aggravators that maybe we had. So maybe it wasn't sexual assault.
I think the aggravator was the fact that he had the damn thing on camera and audio, and you can hear her begging for her life, saying, please don't do this. My mom says no. I think that was the big part of it. That and the fact that he totally lied about everything. All right. I'm scared every time I see a paper towel roll. I'm going to see this piece of shit. This case got me so angry. Hey, I don't blame you, Kim. I don't blame you. He told her to take off her blouse, and she said, why? He said, because you're pretty. He stomped on her neck and she wouldn't die. So yes, that's exactly what happened. If you sum it up in 2 sentences, thank you. That's exactly right.
But it was extremely inappropriate, but didn't rise to the legal level of sexual assault or something like that. I mean, it's awful. And
I can tell you this, that some of the, extraneous offense testimony is going to come in, and it has to do with some charges regarding, sexual assault claims against him. So we may find out that she was, of course, capital murder in Texas is the death of a child under the age of 10 or aggravated kidnapping too. So but I am curious, and I don't know the answer to this, about the sexual assault of this baby child, because she was found without any clothes on. And of course, he denied that. That was one of his lies.
Right. Well, it doesn't sound like you can believe anything that he said.
Right.
Well, and we got a little bit of a glimpse into the defense's opening statement. And again, I got to remind our viewers, this is a death penalty case. So, they're trying to gain sympathy. And when I hear the opening of the state, you know he's either a very sick man. He's a sick man.
Well, we already know he is. And you look at, I just want to show you this because look at Athena's dad up there. He was at the trial. He fully testified. Mom fully testified. Would you want to be against that dude with the beard up there? I wouldn't. But however, I can't understand why he went from that extreme to that. Pieces is saying hi to you guys. She's back there saying hello. I just want to bark right now. Pieces. Sorry, guys. That was my bad. At least you can hear me saying, get out of here. Get out of here. The dogs are barking. All right. Poisoning. I think, let me just go back for a second. Okay.
No other explanation. So that's what it sounds like. The defense is arguing that he was autistic, possibly had something called Asperger's. I'm assuming that they're going to be putting up evidence of that he suffered. So I heard some interesting things, that his mom was a stripper and she drank. But the thing that I thought was really interesting was lead poisoning, that he's got 24 times the amount of lead poisoning. I think we've got that at SOT 13. But Terry, after we play that, I'm really curious about how lead in your area, how that's going to come, because I think Aaron Brockovich, and I'm just curious how that's going to play to a Texas jury. So let's play SOT.
Listen, guys, he tried to throw everything at the wall and make it stick, right? Allie, this is awful. It's absolutely terrible to be able to even hear her last moments on Earth, and it's heartbreaking. Definitely heartbreaking. We're not going to hear that, fortunately, okay? But we are going to do this, and then I think we'll hear from the parents, and then we'll wrap it up.
And then I want to hear that.
I just want to tell you what's next for him after this, all right?
Asperger's, which is now considered a form of autism spectrum disorder. Now, I said the range is from some mild quirks, some social issues, things like that, all the way to being unable to function. That's why they call it a spectrum. Tanner received services throughout his school life. He was 18. Tanner, unfortunately, has also suffered various mental illnesses throughout his life. He's diagnosed, he's received treatment for, and some of those are ongoing. We'll hear about those and what issues he has.
Damn, dude.
And finally, you will hear evidence that Tanner at some point, presumably during his developmental years, was exposed to a massive amount of lead. That team shows that he has 24 times the amount of lead that a person his age should have.
I don't know. I don't know.
Did anyone even buy that or think for a second? I wonder if nobody? Okay, yeah, the defense was only doing their jobs 110%. And the judge thanked them for doing such a professional job. But this is just ridiculous. Kim says, I never noticed so many FedEx trucks before. This case is awful. Literally can happen to anyone. I know. That's why we're covering it because, well, number one, I covered it initially when he was going into trial and I had no idea that he was going to plead guilty. And number two, we got to have the outcome, right? We've got to have the outcome of what happened on here. So I have 2 episodes on this and I'm glad that's all because, man, yeah, Grizzly calls him coin crapper. What? What does that mean?
It's I mean, this is bizarre. Like the things that we're hearing and that we started hearing from witnesses, this is just absolutely one of the most bizarre scenarios.
To Athena's family, I wanted to start by saying how sorry I am about Athena. The entire time I've known my legal counsel, they continue to tell me how I don't need to apologize, shouldn't apologize until the trial.
I guess that ended. All right, check this out, guys. We need to focus that we need justice for Athena Strand. And that upper picture of the upper left-hand corner in the casket, that was Athena's casket and her burial. I'm going to show you that because I want you to see the parents and what happened. And of course, honor her and say a prayer while we watch this. And then I'll tell you what's happening next, like what's next. And then we'll wrap it up. Thank you guys for being here. I know it's a hard topic. Tomorrow, I'll try to lighten the mood a bit. I'm not sure with what, though. Don't know what case, man.
It's on this county road in Boulder.
I know.
Where police found Athena Strand's body. And while this memorial is for the public,
the hardest thing that a parent has to do is pick out that casket.
This was much more personal.
And I don't want that to be the hardest thing. I want that to be something that represents that child.
Strand's funeral was Friday. It was private. Her mother sharing these pictures with us of the little girl's casket, custom made and donated by Trey Ganem of Soulshine Industries.
It just turned out actually beautiful.
He recently made 19 custom caskets for the children killed at Robb Elementary in Uvalde.
It was really emotional for me.
The color, of course, is pink, Athena's favorite.
On the top.
I want you to remember, this was back in 2022, November 30th, I believe, of 2022, and it rolled into December, meaning they had this funeral in early December, 3 years ago, all right? Beth says the only way you're going to lighten the mood is not covering anything for a day. Well, no, there's some cases that are not that, they're not as hard as others, right? So I think there was a case yesterday of a carjacking in in Texas. This guy was trying to carjack a family of 8. I don't think he knew the whole family of 8 was in the car. He tried to get in, and the driver, because in Texas you have to have, you can open carry and they want you to show it, right? No concealed. He shot him. And he won. He won the bad guy. So, I mean, there's cases that we can definitely cover that aren't this harsh. Is there an update on the Bakersfield child in the hotel that got unalived? If there's an update, please cover it. Did I cover it in the first place?
Top of the casket, we made a beautiful princess crown.
There's also Viking symbols on the front.
One of the symbols is father, daughter.
I mean, I might actually take the day off tomorrow. If you don't see me, don't worry about it. I'll be back on Friday.
And it's a Viking symbol. And then the other symbol is mother, daughter.
Athena's father does Renaissance festivals, and the first grader would often tag along.
Athena had some really cool pictures with her Viking. She had an axe, and then she had this huge shield, and she was a daddy's girl.
Athena was cremated after the service, and her casket will serve as a memory box for her mother, Maitland. Too often, we find ourselves focusing on the ending of someone's story. For this family, it's about celebrating who Athena was and how she lived.
It's not about just painting a casket. It's about representing that loved one's life.
And Athena's mother sharing with me tonight that her baby girl service was so special. Alongside a slideshow, her favorite Disney songs were played. Everyone wore pink and lots of flowers, of course. Her mom sharing with me that seeing Athena one final time was the hardest, but that she's grateful to everyone who helped her princess shine.
Damn, guys, that's rough. All right, Tanner Horner sentenced to death in the 2022 trial. Justice for Athena. What is going to happen to this monster? We can see what's happened to him already if you look at the progress of him from high school until now with his new picture, right? And we know what's happening here, where he's being moved to. His appeals will probably be exhausted. There's his new home. And inside that home, he's going to have that little tiny space on the bottom that's probably nicer than the shack in the back that he was using. All right. Awesome. If you want to drop that, let me know. All right. Drop that link. I hope the appeals move along fast. Yeah, I agree. None of the California things where it takes 30 years. Yes, they did cremate her. We'll leave it at that. I'm not going to get into cremation, but yes. All right. Let me, so we know where he's going, and this is what's next to wrap this up, guys. I am so glad I did not have to cover this trial. I don't cover trials because I work during the day, but man, Grizzly True Crime covered it. If you guys really want to torture yourselves and hear everything, go back to that channel and watch it because it's all there. I couldn't do it. I couldn't even get through more than just clips. And I was trying to find videos of Tanner Horner and possibly like the behavior panel or Dr. G or what he would be diagnosed with. And I simply couldn't find anything. They did. They made an Athena alert that makes it so that it's not like strict like the Amber alert where you need to have a description of a vehicle, etc., etc. So that is the good outcome of this. That's one good outcome. And that he got the death penalty so swiftly.
Now from Fox, I'm Shauna Kalafi. And
all right,
Athena
Shauna.
Strand, a delivery driver, Tanner Horner, found guilty of capital murder and sentenced to death in a courtroom there in Fort Worth this morning. And for more on the verdict and how this trial played out, we want to bring in former federal prosecutor Nima Rahmani. Thank you so much for joining us again, Nima.
Of course, Shauna, thank you for having me as always. What an incredibly sad case.
Yeah, it is really sad. And we even heard from a family member of that 7-year-old girl who was kidnapped and murdered. I want to ask you, though, what was your immediate reaction to this verdict? I know the defense was pushing for life in prison without parole, but this jury finding the suspect guilty of capital murder and sentencing him to death. What was your reaction to that?
Shauna, I'm not surprised. If you believe in the death penalty, this is a death penalty case. Really the worst of the worst, every parent's worst nightmare. And it's not that common for children to be abducted, sexually assaulted.
But here's what I have to stop to say this. He's right. It's not that common for things like this to happen. But what did I tell you yesterday? 92% of people that get kidnapped, killed, raped, whatever, all the things, know the person that did it or are in the circle of the people that did it. Okay. 92%. Only 8% of cases are just random. Just somebody randomly walking by and deciding to do something to somebody they've never seen, never met, never heard of. That's what this case was. This happened in this case. Listen.
And killed, but that's exactly what happened here. And when I say it's not common for strangers to do it. Oftentimes it's someone that the victim knows. That's what just makes this case so terrifying. A FedEx driver delivering a Barbie doll for Athena for Christmas ends up abducting her. And I think really what made this particular case so heinous, obviously her young age, the fact that she seemingly was sexually assaulted, but really there was a video of the attack. The FedEx truck did have a video, so you saw initially, and then you heard this happening in real time. So really horrific. And there's one.
I mean, you see the body cam, everything at trial. There was a lot of video, surprisingly, and this guy is surprisingly just cold and calculating in his response. And his response is all he really wants to do is smoke a cigarette and tell lies the whole time.
Thing about video does not lie and just tells a very different story than eyewitness testimony or attorney argument.
And we're seeing some different videos, some body cam of the arrest. And you saw the FedEx truck there in the background as Tanner Horner was a delivery driver, as you mentioned. And Nima, the jury only deliberated for about 2.5 hours this morning. So a relatively quick decision coming in. Watching this trial play out, what do you think made the difference here and swayed the jury in that direction?
Well, I think really it was that video, and it's so graphic we can't play it on live now, and I'll try to be sensitive.
I do think it was absolutely the video with the audio that just said, I think the jury sat there for maybe an hour and just talked about the fact that they were going to give him the death penalty. I don't think they took long at all to decide. Deb says, I believe that, Jay. You have to see the victim to want them in some way. The more time around them, the more the desire to live the fantasies that builds up. Absolutely. And that is the case 92% of the time. But in this 8%, you couldn't make this up. All right. And you wouldn't want to make this up either. Claw, Rebecca, your amazing mama and your daughter's blessed. My girl Tiff says, I couldn't get back on. Everything was frozen, but now you're here. All right, let's continue. We're continuing to tell you about the case and wrap it up.
To the family, but you hear, in this case, Horner talking to Athena. And first she says, am I being kidnapped? He tells her to take off her shirt. She cries that she doesn't want to, asks for her mommy. And then you see him cover the camera, but you can hear him strangle her while he's singing the song, Jingle Bell Rock. So it's so horrific. Family members had to leave the courtroom when it was played in court. And here you see him confessing to police officers. So there was really no defense here. There rarely is in a murder case. Sometimes you have self-defense.
So right there, this is what the jury from this point on, and even there was another image where you could see Athena from the outside of the FedEx truck. She was just right out there. You can see her standing outside of the window before he brought her in. All right. And that's what the jury had to see and then listen to once he covered the camera. Rebecca. All right. I know. I love Nima Romani. So I love how he explains it. And I just love how this all wraps it up. Question. No. That's Allie. That was the answer. I thought so too. He was not stalking her beforehand. As a matter of fact, in episode 1 that I did, I said I wouldn't be surprised if he had been on her route before and seen her and wanted to go back to her. But that wasn't the case. He was a contract driver and they sent him on that route. And this is what happened. He couldn't stop himself, apparently. So no, this is the 8% of he didn't know her from Adam. All right, let's continue. No, they absolutely don't think so. He was not on the same route. He's a contract FedEx person, and he was even telling in his stupid letter about how they change him and move him and bitching. I do not think that is the case.
Or some sort of legal justification, but here, absolutely not. And really, we saw one of the stills there being put on camera before Athena is killed. So it's such a gruesome, horrific murder, and it really captured the nation, the world's attention. Elon Musk was tweeting about the case, saying that Horner deserved the death penalty. So, I think the jury's ruling is the right one and certainly expected. If you look at the case that the defense put on, a very tough case to defend, obviously. I know defense attorneys have to do their job. You know, they argue that it was Horner's autism and rigidity that sort of made him snap. He really wasn't the same person. But I think the problem was the prosecution put on evidence that he had sexually assaulted 2 other girls.
And then the surprise witness. And let me just tell you guys real quick so we can clear it up. All right. The short answer to this is no. No publicly available evidence indicates that Tanner Horner was stalking any girl in Athena Strand's neighborhood or near. None of the court records, affidavits, trial coverage, or anything shows a pattern of stalking behavior toward her or anyone on the street. All sources reported describing his actions on November 30th, 2022, purely as an opportunistic abduction during a FedEx delivery. It wasn't pre-planned. He wasn't stalking her or any other child whatsoever. And what the evidence shows is a crime of opportunity during the delivery. He was delivering the Barbie doll. He saw her, thought she was pretty, and he snatched her. Now, not preceded by surveillance or stalking of neighbors. No source mentions him watching, following, or targeting another child or her before the abduction. His actions that day that were captured on the FedEx truck show him covering and uncovering the dash cam as he interacts with Athena and then abducts her. These the recordings, they show an impulse predatory behavior. Like he couldn't control his impulse that day at all. His impulse said, take her, and that's what he did. There was no long-term stalking. Investigators and prosecutors never alleged prior attempts in the neighborhood. All charges and testimony focused solely on Athena's opportunistic abduction and then murder. All right. There are rumors, but there's nothing that shows anything or documented anything about that. All right. Let's continue.
And it was just far too much for the defense to overcome. If you're looking at these death penalty cases, Shauna, the jury has to weigh the aggravating factors against the mitigating ones. And here, whatever evidence of mitigation there was far, far outweighed by those aggravating factors because of the gruesome nature of this crime and the fact that this young girl suffered such a tragic and horrific death. I think the result was inevitable here.
And there will be an automatic appeal process, as is the case with all death penalty verdicts. What do you expect?
And again, if there's video in the trial, I don't doubt it, but it doesn't mean, and they don't have evidence to say that he was trying to do anything with her. Did he have thoughts in his head about another little girl that, right? Because kids are outside. Kids are outside. They're playing outside. Christmas is coming. He's delivering packages. There's going to be other young children on the street. But they don't, so that may be where the rumor came from, because there was a young girl a day or a few days before that was outside and the father came out and he left. But there's nothing to indicate that he was going to take her. I think his impulse control just got out of hand that day. Because, guys, he could have done it to another child the day before or the few days later, but he didn't. He did it that day to Athena.
From that appeal, could that lead anywhere?
It's possible. I think if you look at the statistics, it's more likely that a death sentence gets overturned on appeal than a death penalty qualified jury actually returning a not guilty verdict. So there are those mandatory state and federal appeals. But here, I think this is going to be a very tough case to even win on appeal, because you have his admissions, you have the video, you have his DNA. So there's so much evidence that it was Horner who committed the murder. So the question is, what is the appropriate sentence? Is it a life without the possibility of parole sentence, or is it a death sentence? And obviously the jury has spoken. So if you're the defense here, obviously you're going to talk about the mental health. You're going to talk about the autism. It does appear that Horner's father was abusive. There was some evidence of that. So you'll see the defense really trying to argue the mitigation here, but I think it's going to be an uphill legal battle.
Now, listen, here's the thing. In California, it's much different than Texas. The death penalty is handed out more often in Texas and executed, right? We're not even doing the death penalty right now. So when I talk about David and I talk about the case of David, what would get him the death penalty would be if they have something on video like that.
I would be very surprised if an appellate court overturns this death sentence, because I know there are a lot of folks watching. They have strong views about the death penalty. I understand the public policy reasons against it, but in the small subset of crimes that do deserve the death penalty, in my opinion, Shauna, this really is one of them, because it was such a heinous crime, and the victim so young and so undeserving of this horrific murder and this fate that fell her.
Yeah, really tragic case here. And as we just heard from the judge reading that verdict, the execution date and process still to be determined. How quickly could that process be over? Oftentimes these death penalty cases are stalled for a pretty long time. How fast do you see this taking place?
It's not going to take place anytime soon. It's going to take years. And unless Horner waives his right to appeal, the appellate process does take a long time. So the court has to get the transcripts of the proceedings, then there are briefs filed, there are oral argument. Again,
and he's not, I mean, I don't think he's ever going to get an appeal. And guys, I wasn't muted. If you guys, I'm muted on purpose. Is everybody gone? We have 127 people in chat and it just stopped. All right, we're about to wrap this up. I'm going to definitely have to lighten up the the cases this week. This is a rough one.
And has to go through the Texas state courts. Then there's the potential for federal habeas relief. So that's why the Supreme Court ends up considering almost all execution cases, not because they are federal cases, they're primarily state cases, but because you have those parallel and subsequent appeals, one after another, state then federal, these cases end up being looked at by a lot of different judges. So don't expect Horner to be executed anytime soon. It will probably take years, and I'm sure the family will be really just waiting on pins and needles while that appellate process plays out.
Yeah, I get it.
All right, thank you so much, former federal prosecutor Nima Rahmani. We appreciate your insight.
All right. I think that did justice for Athena to document this in the way that we did. Justice for Athena Strand, for the parents, everybody in the family that's a victim, any siblings that she may have had. I don't know that she did or not. I don't see any. But regardless, anybody connected to her, related to her, or connected to that family is a victim. All right, go feed the pups, guys. You guys go. Hurry up, get out of here. Everybody's like, I can't do this tonight. Justice for Athena. I think that's why a lot of channels, a lot of true crime channels turn into Krama, because it gets tough, but you got to switch it up. You got to switch the caseloads, man. Let's talk about, what is his name? Clavicular shot at an alligator and got arrested. And just last week, he OD'd. Clavicular. He's a YouTuber that does max looks. All right. So there's so many cases that we can cover today. This was a rough one. Hashtag Athena Strong. But we will definitely lighten the mood. These cases are rough. All right. I might put a poll out tomorrow. This guy is sentenced to death. We're probably not going to hear much from him ever again. He's going to be executed at some point, and that's where he'll be, is at the Ellen B. Polinsky unit. All right. Clar, thank you. If you want to give me a call after this, if you have time, I'm in my office right now. Boop. We'll do this. Get rid of all the pictures. No more. We can't take any more after this. Good night, everybody. Saucy Skin. I know it does. This case. I saw Grizzly True Crime crying, and I saw the judge crying, and I tried to keep away from the really heavy stuff, but it is what it is. Those scientists, what are they missing or deceased? Yeah, I mean, there's so many cases that talk about that need attention and don't have to be this tough. So good night, everybody. Debbie, California love, everybody else. CrimeCon 2026 is coming. It's not even 3 weeks away, my friends. All right, love you guys. If you're new here or you stumble on my channel on the replay crew, come back tomorrow, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern. All right, if I'm not here tomorrow, I'll see you guys on Friday. Love you guys. Have a good night. Peace.
Guilty of crime.
I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my content, please share this video, like, and subscribe. You can also follow me over at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, or Gmail. If you'd like to donate to my channel, you can use Cash App or Venmo or PayPal. Thank you very much in advance. Guilty of crime.
Are you guilty of crime?